I moved into my friend Daniel's house about 8 months ago, after a breakup left me scrambling for a place to stay. Daniel and I had been friends since college, and he'd just bought this big 3-bedroom place in the suburbs. It had more space than he knew what to do with, so when I told him I needed somewhere to crash temporarily, he didn't hesitate. He offered me the guest room, or as he called it, the one nobody ever uses. When I moved in, I immediately noticed something odd. The house was spotless. Daniel's always been a bit of a neat freak, but that particular room was bare. No decor, no curtains, just a bed and an old wooden dresser. The door had a separate lock on it, one that looked older than the rest of the house. I joked about it the first night, asking why the guest room needed its own lock. He brushed it off, saying it came like that when he bought the place, and he just never bothered changing it. I didn't think much of it. The first couple of months went by fine. We both worked long hours and barely saw each other. Daniel's room was on the other end of the hall, and since he usually went to bed early, I tried to keep quiet. But then, around month 3, strange things started happening. It began one night when I woke up around 2 a.m. to the sound of a door clicking shut somewhere in the hallway. I thought maybe Daniel had gotten up to use the bathroom, so I rolled over and tried to go back to sleep. Then I heard it again the next night, and the night after that. Always around the same time, a faint click, then soft footsteps. I finally mentioned it to Daniel one morning over coffee. He looked surprised and said he hadn't been up at all those nights. "You sure it's not the house settling?" he asked. "Old wood creaks." It was a reasonable explanation, so I accepted it. Until about a week later. That night, I woke up again at 2:17 a.m. I remember the exact time because my phone screen was still lit when I picked it up. I stayed completely still, listening. There it was again, a door opening, slow and deliberate, followed by footsteps. But this time the sound wasn't coming from the hallway. It was coming from inside my room. I froze. My heart started hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. The noise was faint, but unmistakable. The guest room door, the one that had always been slightly warped, was slowly creaking open. I stared into the darkness, toward where I knew the door was. The room was pitch black, except for the faint glow of the streetlight leaking through the blinds. The sound stopped. Then a whisper, so soft I thought I imagined it. It sounded like someone saying, "Don't move." I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and aimed it at the door. Nothing. The door was wide open, but the hallway was empty. I got up, checked every corner, even went into Daniel's room. He was sound asleep. The next morning, I tried to bring it up, but I felt stupid. It sounded crazy out loud, so I didn't say anything. I stared into the darkness toward where I knew the door was. The room was pitch black, except for the faint glow of the streetlight leaking through the blinds. The sound stopped. Then, a whisper, so soft I thought I imagined it. It sounded like someone saying, "Don't move." I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and aimed it at the door. Nothing. The door was wide open, but the hallway was empty. I got up, checked every corner, even went into Daniel's room. He was sound asleep. The next morning, I tried to bring it up, but I felt stupid. It sounded crazy out loud, so I didn't say anything. A few days later, Daniel left town for a week-long business trip and asked if I could watch the place. I said sure, secretly relieved I'd have the house to myself. That first night alone, I decided to lock the guest room door from the inside. The key was still hanging from the knob, and I figured it would make me feel safer. I turned the lock, put the key on my nightstand, and went to sleep. At exactly 2:17 a.m., I woke up again. The house was dead silent. Then, faintly, I heard the sound of breathing. It was so close I thought it was coming from my own pillow at first. But as my eyes adjusted to the dark, I realized the sound was coming from the other side of the room, near the dresser. I turned on my phone light. The key was gone. The guest room door was open. I don't remember jumping out of bed. It felt like my body moved before my brain did. I ran straight into the hallway and flipped on every light I could reach. There was no one there. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, when Daniel called to check in, I finally told him what had been happening. I expected him to laugh it off or think I was just being paranoid. But he went quiet. After a long pause, he said that room was why the last owner sold the house so cheap. Apparently, the previous owner's son had gone missing years ago, a teenager who'd been grounded and locked in that very room for sneaking out one night. The police searched everywhere, but never found him. They assumed he ran away. But Daniel said that every tenant after that complained about strange noises, whispers, doors opening, or feeling like someone was standing at the edge of the bed. He thought they were just trying to get out of their leases early. He ended with, "I should have told you earlier. Sorry, man. I moved out that weekend. I thought that would be the end of it, until about a month later, Daniel sent me a text. Hey, not sure if this is funny or freaky, but I found your old room key under the bed. Looks brand new. You sure you didn't come back for something?" I didn't reply, because my old key had deep rust along the edge. I remember the texture when I used to turn it. Whatever he found wasn't mine. I've been a delivery driver for 5 years now. Mostly food deliveries, late-night orders, suburbs, sometimes sketchy neighborhoods. It's honest work, quiet work, and I've always told myself the same thing. People are strange, but not dangerous. That belief changed one night. It was a Friday, around 11:45 p.m. The app pinged me with a new order. Pick up from Vinny's Diner, drop off at an address I didn't recognize. 42 Crescent Hollow Lane. Never heard of it. But the map showed it a few miles out of town. When I reached the diner, it was oddly empty for a Friday. The cook looked half asleep. I gave him the order number and he frowned. "Crescent Hollow?" he muttered, tapping the counter. "That street's closed off, man. Been years." I laughed it off. Maybe they renamed it. He shrugged and handed me a paper bag. "Suit yourself. Just don't take the forest route. GPS messes up there." I should have listened. The drive started fine. Quiet roads, no traffic. But after a while, the streetlights disappeared. Trees pressed close from both sides, their branches scraping my van. I checked my GPS again. The blue dot glitched, blinking between 2 points. "Recalculating," the voice said, over and over. Eventually, I saw a wooden sign, Crescent Hollow Lane. No houses, just a dirt road winding between the trees. Still, the app said I was only 0.3 miles from the drop-off. When I finally saw a mailbox, it was barely standing, rusted, with the number 42 scratched into it. Behind it was a small old house with a porch light that flickered every few seconds. I parked, grabbed the bag, and went up the steps. Before I could knock, the door opened. A woman stood there, mid-40s, pale, in an old housecoat. She looked like she hadn't slept in years. "Oh," she said softly. "You're here." Yeah. Order for," I checked the receipt. "Mara?" She nodded slowly. "You're right on time." I handed her the bag. She took it, staring at me with glassy eyes. Then she said something that froze me. "Last time, you were late." I laughed awkwardly. This is my first time delivering here." Her eyes didn't move. "No, not this time." She pushed the bag back toward me. "Could you please bring it inside?" Every instinct screamed no, but it was late, and I didn't want to be rude. So I stepped in. The house smelled of dust and damp wood. Old photos lined the walls, black and white portraits, everyone staring straight ahead. One photo caught my eye. It showed the same woman, standing next to me. Same face, same jacket, same delivery bag in my hand. I froze. "What is this?" I asked. She smiled faintly. "You always ask that." Suddenly, there was a loud thud from the hallway. A door creaked open. Footsteps, slow, dragging, coming closer. I turned and saw a man, gaunt, eyes hollow, stepping out of the dark. He was holding something in his hand, a phone. He showed it to me. On the screen was a notification. My delivery app. Order, 764 Crescent Hollow Lane. Status, canceled. Driver never returned. I bolted, ran straight through the front door, into the woods, ignoring the branches tearing at my face. When I got back to the main road, my phone started buzzing nonstop. Incoming call, unknown number. I answered without thinking. A voice whispered, "You forgot the order." Then, silence. The next morning, I tried to report the incident to my company. They checked their system. No record of the delivery. No Vinny's Diner at that address. And that night, at exactly 11:45 p.m., I got another ping on my phone. New order received. You ever get that gut feeling when something ordinary suddenly feels wrong? Like your brain picks up on something before you can explain it? That's what started happening to me 2 months ago. I work from home, customer support. I wear a headset, spend 8 hours a day talking to strangers about shipping delays and login issues. Boring, predictable. That's probably why the first call didn't seem special. It came in at 3:12 p.m. on a Thursday. No caller ID, just private number. I answered, expecting another angry customer. But all I heard was breathing. Slow, rhythmic, like someone standing very close to the receiver. "Hello," I said. The breathing stopped. Then a woman's voice whispered, calm but shaky, "Don't open the door." I frowned. "Excuse me?" The line went dead. Weird, sure, but prank calls happen all the time. I brushed it off and went back to work. 5 minutes later, there was a knock at my front door. I live alone. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I checked the peephole, a man in a delivery uniform was standing there with a small brown box. "Package for Emma," he said. I didn't remember ordering anything. "Who's it from?" I asked through the door. He just smiled. "It's prepaid." Something about his tone, too flat, too rehearsed, made me hesitate. So I said, "Leave it on the porch." His smile didn't move. "You have to sign for it." Before I could answer, my phone rang again. Private number. I picked it up. Same voice. Same whisper. "Don't open it, please." I froze. When I looked back through the peephole, the man was gone. No van, no footsteps, nothing. Just the box sitting on my porch. I waited an hour before opening the door. The box was light, almost empty. Inside, there was just a small, old-fashioned cell phone. Not a smartphone, a flip phone. It was turned on, and as soon as I touched it, it rang. I answered. Static. Then, my own voice said, "He's still outside." My stomach dropped. I turned toward the window. Sure enough, across the street, that same delivery guy was standing beneath a street lamp, still, head tilted slightly upward, watching my house. I called the police, but by the time they arrived, he was gone again. No tire tracks, no package records, no security footage from neighbors. They said it was probably a prank, except the calls didn't stop. Every few days, I'd get another one, always from that same private number, always my own voice on the other end, warning me seconds before something happened. Once, I was about to step into the shower when the phone buzzed and whispered, "Check the window." And when I did, I saw a handprint on the glass from inside. I changed the locks. I installed cameras. Still, the calls came. Until one night, I'd had enough. When the phone rang again, I screamed into it. "Who are you? Why are you doing this to me?" A pause. Then the voice, my voice, said softly, I'm you. From the last time. Static filled the line, and I swear I heard crying. My crying, buried underneath it. Then it cut off. The next morning, my security camera app sent a notification. Motion detected, front door, 3:12 a.m. I opened the clip. The footage showed me, standing on my own porch, holding a small brown box, smiling. Then I rang my own doorbell. I don't even know if anyone will ever read this. If they do, I hope they understand. It was February 1959. My friends and I had been trekking through the Ural Mountains for weeks. The snow was relentless, the wind unforgiving. But we were young, strong, ambitious. We were going to conquer Otorten. That's what we told ourselves anyway. The night before everything went wrong, we set up camp on the slopes. There was no shelter, just the trees and the frozen ground. Temperatures had dropped well below -30 degrees Celsius, and the wind howled like it knew what was coming. We pitched the tent, laughing, trying to ignore the gnawing unease that had been following us all day. But even as I wrote in my small notebook that night, I felt it, a presence, not human, not natural, something, watching. I remember stepping out to relieve myself. The wind whipped at my face and bit my fingers. That's when I saw them, shadows moving across the snow. At first, I thought it was my imagination, distorted by exhaustion and the reflection of our headlamps. But the shapes were too precise, too deliberate. They didn't belong to any of us. I rushed back into the tent, trying not to breathe too loudly. My friends were already asleep. I wanted to warn them, but how do you explain something you can't prove? Then it started, a low sound, like the scraping of metal over ice. It came from just outside the tent. I froze. The wind carried it, twisting it into something that sounded almost human. But it wasn't speaking. Not words. Just noise. I wanted to call out. I wanted to see what it was, but my body refused. My fingers trembled as I gripped my notebook like a talisman. Then a deafening roar split the air. The tent flapped violently. I screamed. Others woke. Panic. My friends scrambled, trying to reinforce the tent. But something had already broken through the calm of the night. Something unseen. I don't remember how it started exactly. Only that we were running. We cut the tent open from the inside. Not even bothering to dress fully. Shoes, coats, gloves, all left behind. Snow stung our bare skin. Our lungs burned with each breath of freezing air. We didn't talk. We didn't look back. Just run. Run toward the tree line, toward anything that resembled shelter. But there was nothing. Only snow. Only the wind. I remember seeing one of my friends collapse, and I wanted to help. But the wind carried whispers, faint, icy voices that called our names. My heart pounded. My mind told me to keep moving, to survive, but some part of me knew it was hopeless. I write this now because I need someone to know. If the authorities find this, if someone finds my notebook buried in the snow, understand that we weren't careless. We didn't get lost by accident. Something hunted us that night, something that didn't belong in the world of men. By the time anyone finds us, if they do, we will be scattered across the snow like broken dolls. Some will be missing, some mutilated in ways no human could do. I feel it already, creeping over me. My fingers are numb, my eyes burn, the shadows are closer. If anyone reads this, tell them, don't trust the mountains. They are alive, and they are hungry. I moved into my apartment about 6 months ago. It was small, but in the city it was perfect. Quiet enough, convenient location, and cheap for what it was. The first few weeks were normal. I unpacked, settled in, got to know the neighbors. There was a guy living across the hall, mid-30s, quiet, polite. I barely noticed him, honestly. Then the weirdness started. It began with small things. Doors left slightly ajar, lights on when I knew I'd turn them off. Saint knocks at odd hours. At first, I blamed myself, paranoia, city living, late-night exhaustion. But one night, everything changed. I was home alone, cooking dinner around 9:30 p.m. when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. A voice whispered, soft but unmistakable. "You're home alone." I froze. My kitchen knife clattered onto the counter. "Who is this?" I demanded. No response. Just heavy breathing. Then the line went dead. I tried to shake it off, convinced it was a prank. But when I looked out my window, I saw him, my neighbor, standing across the hall in the parking lot, staring straight at me. I didn't recognize the panic yet. Not fully. Over the next few days, the calls kept coming. "Don't leave the apartment. I'm watching." Sometimes, my front door would be unlocked in the morning, even though I always double-checked. Then came the photos. I started receiving packages, small, nondescript envelopes. Inside, pictures of me inside my own apartment, cooking, sleeping, walking to the mailbox. Every single moment, perfectly captured. I knew immediately. He had been living in my building long before I even moved in. Watching, learning, waiting. I called the police. They came, took statements, and advised me to be cautious. But when I asked if anyone had been reported living in empty units or crawling through vents, they shrugged. "Nothing we can find. He's careful." One night, around 2 a.m., I woke to a noise, scratching at my bedroom window. Heart pounding, I grabbed my phone, ready to dial 911. Then I saw him, right outside, looking straight at me, smiling. I couldn't think, couldn't breathe. I barely slept that night. The next day, I moved out. I left everything behind. Furniture, appliances, even sentimental things. I didn't care. I never got the sense he was after money or possessions. He just wanted control, a sense of presence, to prove he could be anywhere, anytime, and I would never feel safe again. Even now, months later, I get a sinking feeling whenever I pass a window at night. I check for shadows. I check for movement. Because the truth is, he knows I'm alive, and he's probably still watching.